Rain clung to his trembling lashes as the billionaire leaned in, desperation cracking the strength in his voice. "Act as my wife," he whispered. And in that single breath, Lena Carver's quiet life shattered. Before this story truly begins, ask yourself something. If a wealthy stranger begged you in the middle of a roaring storm to pretend to be their spouse just for one night, would you walk away? Or would you hear them out? Tell me in the comments. What would your heart choose? Lena was soaked, her coat plastered to her skin, her hair dripping down her cheeks as she stepped out of the downtown convenience store. The night was bitter, the kind of cold that reached straight through clothing and pressed itself against bone. She had only wanted to buy ointment and cheap bandages for the blister on her heel. Nothing more. A normal night. A forgettable night. But the universe had other plans. As she stepped under the dim street lamp, the rain thickened. She pulled her bag tighter to her chest and hurried toward the bus stop, only to stop short when she saw him. A man stood beneath the flickering light across the street. Tall, sharp, drenched in the storm as though he didn't feel the rain at all. His suit, expensive, tailored, unmistakably custom, clung to him like a second skin. His dark hair was plastered to his forehead, and yet nothing about him looked disheveled. He looked haunted, like a man running from a ghost. Lena froze. Something in her chest tightened unexpectedly. He wasn't looking at her. He was staring down the street, breath coming fast, fists clenched like he was at war with the night. Then he turned. Their eyes met, and just like that, something shifted. He took one unsteady step toward her, then another. Before she could react, he was standing in front of her, close enough for her to see the tremor in his jaw, close enough for her to see the raw fear behind the storm-dark eyes. "Please," he said softly. His voice cracked. She blinked at him. Sorry. Do I know you?" "No," he whispered. "But I need your help." The rain pounded harder, spilling down the edges of their hair, running in rivulets down their faces. He swallowed. "Act as my wife." Lena stared at him, speechless. "What?" "Just tonight," he said, desperation pushing through every word. "Please." Her heart stumbled. This had to be a joke, some strange prank. People didn't walk up to strangers in the rain and say things like that. But there was no humor in his expression, no cruelty, just torment. "I don't understand," she whispered. He breathed out shakily. "I can explain, but not here. Please, come with me." "Come with you?" Lena repeated, stunned. "Yes," he said. "I'm not going to hurt you, I swear it. I need someone right now, just for tonight, just to stand beside me." She stepped back. "Why me?" Rain blurred the world between them. His voice softened to a breath. "Because you looked at me like I was human." Her chest tightened. "Please," he said again. "I don't have anyone else." Lena's instincts warred. Stranger, danger, run. But something about him, his soaked clothing, his trembling breath, the way he looked like a man about to fall apart, made her feet stay planted. "What's your name?" she asked quietly. "Elias," he said. "Elias Roth." The name hit her like a bolt of lightning. Roth. As in the Roth real estate empire, as in the billionaire family whose properties stretched across half the city, as in that Roth. Lena's breath caught. "Wait, you're—" "Yes." She stumbled back a step. A billionaire, standing in the rain, begging her for help. Her mind spun. "This doesn't make sense." "I know," Elias said hoarsely, "but I promise you, I'm not insane. I just need someone I can trust for one night, someone who isn't part of my world." Lena shook her head. I'm nobody." His voice broke. "That's exactly why I chose you." She stared at him, at the fear, at the desperation, at the man who looked like he was about to collapse. She should walk away. She should say no. She should choose safety. Instead, she whispered, "What do you need me to do?" Relief, raw, overwhelming, flooded his expression. "Come with me," he said. "I'll explain everything in the car." She hesitated. He held out his hand. Please. Her fingers trembled as she placed her hand in his. Warm, strong, desperate. And just like that, the night changed. Before we continue, tell me something. Have you ever met a person and felt something shift inside you, even though you couldn't explain it? A strange pull, a spark, a moment of recognition. Share your answer. You never know who might be feeling the same thing. Elias led her toward a sleek black car parked at the curb. The driver stared ahead, expression unreadable, as Elias opened the door for her. Please, he said again, quieter now. Trust me. Lena took a shaky breath and stepped inside. The car smelled faintly of leather and sandalwood. The windows were tinted, shutting out the city completely. Elias slid into the seat beside her. The door shut. The rain softened, and Lena found herself alone with a billionaire stranger who had just asked her to pretend to be his wife. She swallowed. Okay, explain. Elias dragged a hand through his soaked hair, his voice hushed and trembling. My mother. She's hosting an event tonight, a very public one. There's press, investors, board members, everyone. Lena frowned. Okay. I was supposed to make an announcement, he said. An engagement. Lena's breath caught. Yours? Yes. But you're not engaged. No, he whispered. But she thinks I should be, for the sake of the company, for the family image. So you want me to pretend to be... Yes, Elias said, just for tonight, just long enough to stop her or slow her down, long enough to breathe. Lena stared at him. You want me, she said slowly, a woman you met 10 minutes ago in the rain, to pretend to be your wife, in front of the most powerful people in the city? Yes. Elias, that's insane. I know, he said softly, but I'm out of options. And I saw you, I saw your eyes, you weren't afraid of me. I'm afraid now. I won't let anything happen to you. You can't promise that. He met her gaze, steady, solemn, vulnerable. I can promise I'll try. Lena's breath wavered. Just tonight, he whispered. Please. Silence filled the car. Heavy, shaking. Lena closed her eyes, and against every instinct, against logic, against fear, she nodded. Okay, she whispered. I'll help you. Elias exhaled sharply, as if her answer kept him alive. Thank you, he said. You don't know what this means. She didn't. Not yet. But she was about to. The car pulled smoothly away from the curb, gliding into the wet night as if it were built to move through storms. Inside, Lena's hands twisted anxiously in her lap. Her mind ran wild, every fear, every warning, every instinct screaming at her. But when she looked sideways at Elias, she saw a man holding himself together by threads. He wasn't dangerous. He wasn't predatory. He wasn't calculating. He was hurting, and that changed everything. After a long moment, Lena whispered, So, what exactly do I say? What do I do? I've never pretended to be anyone's wife before. A faint, almost broken smile touched Elias's lips. I figured as much. She swallowed. Does this happen often? Asking strangers to play your spouse for the night? No, he said quietly. Never. I've never done anything like this in my life. Lena nodded slowly. Good. Because that would be a major red flag. Understood. There was a pause, tense but soft. Then Lena exhaled shakily. How does your mother even think she can force you into getting engaged? Elias stared forward. Rain streaked across the window beside him. She thinks control is love, and she thinks fear is responsibility. Lena frowned. That's not love. I know, he whispered, but I didn't, for a long time. The driver continued through the city. The towers blurred through the storm. Lena watched the raindrops race down the glass. So, who were you supposed to propose to tonight? She asked quietly. He hesitated. Ilara Sterling. Lena's stomach twisted. She's important, Elias continued. Her family owns Sterling International. Our companies have been partners for years, My mother thought merging our families would be beneficial. Beneficial to the business? Lena asked. Yes. And you? I felt nothing for her, he said, and she felt nothing for me. Lena nodded faintly. Relief flickered through her chest, unexpected, unwelcome, but real. Elias continued, voice low. Tonight, my mother was going to announce the engagement publicly, without my consent, because she thinks I'm unstable alone. He laughed a brittle laugh. She thinks a wife solves everything, Lena whispered. And you picked me to stand beside you tonight. Elias didn't answer right away. Then, softly, you were the first person in months who didn't look at me like I'm broken. Her heart trembled. Before she could respond, the driver's voice interrupted quietly. Mr. Roth, we're arriving. The car eased up the private ramp toward an enormous glass-front hotel, the kind of place Lena had only seen in glossy travel ads. White-gloved staff stood under the awnings. Cameras flashed through the spinning doors. A red carpet stretched across the entrance. Lena froze. I can't do this, she whispered. Elias turned to her, eyes softening. Lena, this is crazy, she whispered. I'm wearing wet sneakers and a coat from a thrift store. I don't belong here. Yes, you do, he said firmly. No, you belong wherever you stand, he said. You walk in that room with me, and you belong, because I choose you. Lena's breath shook. He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. His fingers brushed hers, warm despite the freezing storm. Whatever happens in there, Elias whispered, I will not let you drown. I asked you into this storm with me. I'll stand beside you through it. Her eyes burned. Then she nodded. Okay, she whispered. Let's do it. The car door opened. Flashbulbs flared instantly. Elias stepped out first. Then he turned, offering his hand. Lena took it. Gasps rippled from the crowd outside the hotel. Cameras clicked. Whispers erupted like wind through dry leaves. Who is she? That's not Ilara. Is Roth replacing the Sterling girl? She doesn't look like the usual type. Is that his fiancée? Lena's pulse hammered wildly as she stepped beside Elias. His fingers tightened around hers, subtle, grounding. Just breathe, he murmured, his voice barely audible above the storm. The hotel doors opened. The ballroom swallowed them. Inside, chandeliers glowed like constellations. The room brimmed with gowns worth more than Lena's annual rent, glittering diamonds, champagne pyramids, men in tuxedos. The air smelled of perfume and wealth and expectation. Lena nearly faltered. Elias leaned in, whispering, Stay close. She nodded. A couple approached, a man in a navy tuxedo and a woman in a gold gown dripping with jewels. Their eyes dragged over Lena with practiced precision. Elias forced a tight smile. Evening. The man raised a brow. Elias, and who is your companion? Elias squeezed her hand. My wife. The words dropped like a stone in the center of the room. The couple's eyes widened. The woman forced a thin smile. How lovely. Congratulations, Elias. Your mother must be thrilled. Yes, Elias said stiffly. She's overjoyed. Lena glanced sideways at him, heart twisting. He was lying. Everyone in the room knew it, and yet his voice held quiet defiance. More guests approached, curious eyes flicking to Lena with every step. Is this her? Did you know about this? I thought it would be Ilara. He didn't even tell the board? The whispers grew thicker. Lena's breath caught. Elias sensed it instantly. He stepped closer and murmured, Look at me, not them. Her eyes lifted to his gaze held steady, calm, warm, protective. Good, he whispered. I've got you. And somehow, she believed him. A sharp clink echoed, a spoon against glass. The room fell silent. Lena's stomach dropped as a woman stepped onto the small stage near the front. Tall, immaculate, wrapped in black silk, eyes sharp as razors, Elias's mother, Margaret Roth. Her gaze swept the room, her smile practiced, tight, cold. "Welcome, everyone," she said. "Tonight is a night of celebration, of legacy, of unity, of the future of the Roth Empire." Guests murmured appreciatively. Margaret continued, voice warm but chilling beneath the surface. "As many of you know, this evening marks an important announcement regarding my son." Elias inhaled sharply. Lena squeezed his hand. Margaret's voice dropped into something rehearsed, dangerous. "And the future of our family." Elias whispered under his breath. "Not tonight. Please, not tonight." But Margaret smiled wider, and the storm inside the ballroom began. Margaret Roth lifted her champagne glass, the crystal catching the chandelier's glow like a blade. Lena felt the room tighten. The air itself seemed to hold its breath. "Tonight," Margaret announced, "we honor the strength and unity of the Roth name." A ripple of applause swept through the ballroom, shallow and obedient. Elias's grip tightened around Lena's hand. The muscles in his jaw twitched. He whispered without looking at her, "Stay with me." Lena nodded. Margaret continued, "For years the board has urged my son to establish stability in his life, to secure our family legacy through partnership and marriage." A few older men in the crowd nodded approvingly. Margaret's eyes sharpened. "And I am proud to announce that we have found the perfect match." Elias sucked in a sharp breath. "No," he murmured. "No, no." Lena's heart raced. Margaret spread her manicured hand toward the crowd like a monarch granting favor. "The remarkable, accomplished and beautiful." Elias stepped forward. "Mother, stop!" "Elara Sterling." A spotlight swept toward a woman near the front, tall, stunning, a navy gown shimmering like midnight water. Elara Sterling smiled gracefully and stepped forward, photographers raising their cameras. Lena's entire chest twisted. Margaret beamed. "Elara will be joining our family as my son's future wife." The crowd erupted in applause. Lena felt her vision blur around the edges. Elias whispered, "This is a lie. She's lying. Elara and I ended everything." Lena shook her head, blinking back the burn in her eyes. "Why didn't you tell me this was happening tonight? I thought I could stop her." "But you didn't." His breath faltered. "Lena," Margaret's voice sliced through the noise. "Elias, sweetheart, please join your fiancé." Elias raised his voice. "No." A hush rippled across the room. Margaret's eyes hardened, but her smile didn't move. "No," she repeated sweetly. "No," Elias said louder, stepping forward. "You do not speak for me." Gasps spread like wildfire. Margaret kept her facade. "Son, if you're anxious, we can discuss this privately." "There's nothing to discuss," Elias said sharply. "I am not marrying Elara. That is over. It has been for months." Elara shifted uncomfortably, glancing between them. "And," Elias said, turning toward the stunned crowd, "I am not alone tonight." Margaret froze. Guests leaned in. Cameras rose. Elias lifted their intertwined hands. "This is my wife." The room gasped as all eyes fell on Lena, her damp hair, her thrift store coat, her trembling breath. She felt exposed, small, unprepared. Margaret's smile fractured. "Excuse me." "You heard me," Elias said. "This is my wife." Margaret's voice lowered to ice. "You brought a stranger here and announced her publicly as your spouse." "She's not a stranger to me." Margaret stared. "What is her name?" Elias didn't hesitate. "Lena." "And who is she?" Margaret demanded. Elias's voice softened. "She is the woman I choose." Lena's heart slammed against her ribs. Whispers spread like wildfire. "She's not from our circle." "Where did he find her?" "She's no Elara." "He's losing control." "This is a disgrace." Lena felt every word like a slap. Margaret stepped closer, towering over her. "You," she said, voice poised with venom, "you do not belong here." Elias moved instantly. "Do not talk to her like that." "She's using you," Margaret hissed. "She met me in the rain," Elias snapped. "She didn't even know who I was." "And you believe her?" Margaret laughed coldly. "Look at her. She's nobody." Lena's face flushed with humiliation. For a moment she couldn't breathe. Elias's voice broke into a whisper. "She's not nobody." Margaret raised her hand sharply. "Enough. Step away from her. Right now." Elias didn't move. Lena finally found her voice. She whispered, "Elias, let me go." His head snapped toward her. "No. You don't need me to make a stand," she said quietly. "You don't." "Yes," he whispered. "I do." "No," she repeated more firmly. "You're strong enough without me." Margaret watched their exchange with cold satisfaction. Lena swallowed hard. She gently pulled her hand from Elias's. The moment their palms separated, something inside him shattered. "Lena." She stepped back. "I don't belong here." His voice trembled. "Don't say that." "It's true." Margaret smirked. Lena looked around the ballroom, at the jewels, the gowns, the harsh eyes judging her like a stain on a white tablecloth. "I'm not your world," she whispered. "You're the only part of it that feels real." Her breath hitched. Someone in the crowd muttered loudly, "She probably wants his money." Lena flinched. Elias turned. "Say that again." Margaret cut in sharply. "Elias, you're causing a scene." "No," Elias said, eyes blazing. "You are." Margaret's expression turned to stone. "Security." Two large men stepped forward. Elias stepped between them and Lena instantly. "You will not put your hands on her," he warned. They hesitated. Margaret glared. "Remove her." Lena felt the world spin. Elias's chest rose and fell rapidly. His breathing trembled. "She's my wife," Elias whispered. "You can't—" But Margaret lifted her voice, practiced and poised. "Ladies and gentlemen, please forgive the confusion. My son is unwell." Elias's breath stopped. "Mother, and has been under significant emotional strain." "Stop. So tonight's behavior should be dismissed." "Mother, stop." Margaret continued, as if he were a child. "He will be stepping back from certain responsibilities for the good of the company." "Mother!" The shout cracked through the entire ballroom. Silence. Elias staggered slightly, breath shaking, as if the sound had ripped something open inside him. Lena's heart broke at the sight. He wasn't angry, he was hurting, deeply, painfully. Margaret's voice, softer now but razor-sharp, slid back in. "Elias, sweetheart, come here." He didn't move. He looked around the ballroom, hundreds of faces staring, judging, whispering. Then his eyes landed on Lena, softening, breaking, pleading. "Don't leave me," he whispered. Tears filled her eyes. "I'm not leaving, Elias," she said gently. "I'm stepping back." "Why?" "Because you need to breathe." He shook his head. "I need you." Her voice shook. "And I need you to stand without me for a moment." His chest rose sharply, pained. Security stepped closer. Margaret folded her arms, and Lena made a choice that stabbed her own heart. She turned and walked toward the exit. Elias whispered, "No." He tried to follow, but security blocked the way. Margaret placed a hand on his arm. "Enough." Elias stumbled back, eyes wet, breath broken, gaze locked on Lena disappearing through the ballroom doors. He whispered her name once, then again, then louder. "Lena!" But she was gone. And the storm that began outside finally broke inside him. Lena didn't stop until she reached the marble hallway outside the ballroom. Her breath was unsteady, her heartbeat loud in her ears. She pressed her back against the wall and let out a trembling, uneven exhale.